We are in the same business. We need to talk.
Show me the vault.
There is an emergency, sir. Now go.
The film opens in Kyiv, Ukraine, 12 years prior, where MI6 Special Operations Agent Martin Baxter is on a critical mission to intercept sensitive files being exchanged between FSB agent Red Star and reporter Igor Stepanenko. As Igor arrives at the scene, he is accompanied by undercover MI6 agent Olga, who happens to be Martin's wife. In a tense moment, just as Martin relays this information back to headquarters, Igor is suddenly shot and killed by Red Star's assassins. In the chaos, Martin opens fire on the attackers, but the package containing the files is snatched away. Rushing to Olga, who is visibly shaken by his presence, he urgently instructs her to stay put while he pursues the assailants and the stolen files. Under heavy gunfire, Martin skillfully evades the shooter and climbs atop a bus for a better vantage point. Spotting him, the shooter attempts to take him out, but Martin manages to kill him and retrieve the crucial files. However, when he returns to Olga, he finds her being held at gunpoint by a Russian agent demanding the bag. In a desperate standoff, Martin insists that the agent release her first, but the agent cruelly shoots Olga in the side. Forced to comply, Martin drops the bag and opens fire. Fast forward to present-day London, where Martin jolts awake from this haunting nightmare, finding solace in the presence of his brilliant daughter, Lisa. Now working as a club bouncer, Martin supplements his income through kickboxing, with Lisa acting as his unofficial coach and mentor. She warns him about the range of his latest opponent, advising him to utilize his jab and create space. However, confident in his own strategy, Martin insists on his usual approach of pressuring his opponent and delivering powerful blows. Unconvinced by her father's plan, Lisa takes their betting money to wager against him, placing her bet on Martin's opponent. As the match begins, it becomes clear that Lisa's concerns were valid. His opponent proves to be just as dangerous as she predicted. Despite her ringside advice, Martin continues to exchange blows until he suffers a devastating knee strike to the face. With Lisa urging him to stop fighting, the blow disrupts Martin's rhythm entirely, culminating in an uppercut that sends him crashing to the canvas. After the fight, Maxim pays Lisa her winnings, which infuriates Martin. He confronts her disbelief that she would bet against him, but Lisa explains that she knew he wasn't focused and that things wouldn't go according to his plan. Later that night, while Lisa is downstairs, Martin finds himself with a woman he met earlier. Everything seems to be going well until she flicks on the lights, revealing a vision of Olga staring back at him. Overcome with guilt and haunted by memories of his past, he abruptly sends the girl away. The following day, Martin takes Lisa to a training facility for target practice, where she candidly expresses her desire to settle down and pursue an education, voicing her concerns about her future. While Martin remains confident that he is imparting all the survival skills she needs, Lisa is resolute in her wish to start school. Later, as Martin prepares for work, he is jolted by news reports detailing the attempted assassination of Russian opposition activist Skiritov and his wife, who were targeted with a nerve agent. At work, Martin attempts to intervene in a brawl but ends up unintentionally beating a patron, earning a reprimand from his supervisor. Shortly after, he encounters a young woman who unexpectedly calls him by name. Curious, Martin swipes her ID and discovers her last name is Stepanenko. He tracks her down within the club to return her ID and demands to know who she is. The woman introduces herself as Sasha, revealing that Igor was her father and that he had told her Martin was a reporter. To substantiate her claim, she presents a photograph of Martin with Olga and Igor, but Martin remains skeptical and presses her for her intentions. Sasha explains that she is determined to continue her father's work and urgently needs Martin's assistance to retrieve the files. Before they can delve deeper into their conversation, gunmen burst into the club, unleashing chaos as they open fire on Martin and Sasha. The two narrowly escape the onslaught, and Martin retaliates by ambushing two of the assailants in the kitchen. However, when he looks for Sasha again, she has vanished. Panic sets in as Martin rushes home only to find his front door ajar. Armed with a baseball bat, he cautiously enters the house and is relieved to find Lisa asleep and unharmed. Continuing his search, Martin encounters CIA agent Trevor and MI6 agent John Edwards, who have come to question him about his meeting with Sasha. They demand to know what was discussed, but Martin downplays the encounter as inconsequential. Trevor reminds him of their prior agreement to steer clear of each other's affairs and warns him of the repercussions if he fails to comply. When pressed about the files, Martin insists that the Russians obtained them long ago following the mission 12 years earlier and that the matter should be considered closed. The agents remain unconvinced, and Edwards reveals a photograph of a deceased agent who had been collaborating with Sasha in the search for the files, cautioning Martin that the Russians will soon come looking for him as well. Just then, Lisa awakens, and Trevor greets her with familiarity, noting that he has known her since she was a baby. He continues to explain to Martin that they need his assistance in recovering the files, as they could potentially expose the traitor responsible for Olga's death. Lisa, however, firmly insists that her mother died in an accident. Martin, sensing the tension, intervenes and urges the agents to leave before they divulge any more information. He attempts to clarify to Lisa that his intentions were to shield her from the painful truth, but she is hurt by his deception and demands that he leave her alone. With the truth now laid bare and memories of Olga flooding back, Martin finds himself alone in his room, grappling with a deepening desire for answers. The following morning, Martin instructs Lisa to pack her belongings urgently, indicating that they must relocate. Although she protests, he is too pressed for time to explain and insists she comply with his orders. As he steps outside to load their luggage into the car, a man suddenly knocks him unconscious. When Martin regains consciousness, he finds himself bound to a chair in front of Russian intelligence agent Tatiana, who demands the files from him. When he denies having any knowledge, she retaliates by smashing his finger with a hammer. Tatiana presses him for the whereabouts of Sasha and the files, but Martin maintains that he witnessed a Russian agent take the files firsthand, a claim she dismisses. In a shocking turn, Tatiana reveals a live video feed of Lisa, demonstrating that they have kidnapped her. Faced with this harrowing reality, Martin reluctantly confesses that Sasha knows where the files are hidden and offers to retrieve them for Tatiana. She contacts her superior, who orders that Sasha be captured, dead or alive, and gives Martin a mere 24 hours to fulfill this demand. Afterward, he is unceremoniously dumped on the side of the road, where MI6 agent Edwards is already tracking his movements. As Martin gets into his car, he is haunted by another vision of Olga urging him to bring Lisa home safely. Meanwhile, Tatiana tries to placate Lisa by telling her that Martin is simply picking up a package for them and offers to fetch her anything she desires. Lisa requests a smoothie. To keep her entertained, Tatiana turns on some cartoons for her. Edwards follows Martin to Maxim's club and reports in to Trevor, who instructs him to investigate further. However, Martin unexpectedly turns the tables and holds Edwards at gunpoint, demanding that he cease his pursuit. Determined to find answers about Sasha, Martin enters the club and approaches Maxim, describing Sasha in detail and asking if he knows her. Maxim denies any knowledge of her, but when Martin produces a card he found in Sasha's wallet and brandishes his weapon, it becomes clear he means business. Suspecting that Sasha had tracked him through Maxim, he demands that Maxim hand over his cell phone. Reluctantly, Maxim complies but discreetly activates a panic button. A guard bursts into the chaos. Martin shoots Maxim before swiftly dispatching his guards. He fights his way through the club, bullets flying, until he finally breaks free and races back to his car. There, he quickly scans Maxim's cell phone and uncovers Sasha's location. Meanwhile, Lisa has surprisingly warmed to Tatiana, engrossed in a boxing match and casually discussing betting odds. Determined to find Sasha, Martin stealthily breaks into her apartment, gun drawn. Initially, the space appears empty until Sasha unexpectedly materializes behind him. He reassures her that he's there to help, shattering her cell phone to prevent any tracking and handing her a burner phone instead. Unfazed by the danger they face, Sasha reveals her resolve to publish the files as a means of avenging her father's death. She discovered his logbook, which indicated that his last meeting was with a woman known as Red Star, who had gathered evidence of a chemical weapons program and even possessed samples of the nerve agent Novichok. However, Red Star did not bring the files to their meeting in Kyiv. Instead, she had secured them in a bank safety deposit box known only to her. Martin suddenly recalls Red Star handing Olga the address and access code to that very safety deposit box on a note just before everything unraveled. Meanwhile, Edwards is discovered bound and gagged in his car. In a bold move, Martin breaks into Trevor's safe house and confronts an analyst at gunpoint, demanding access to the CIA system. Together, they sift through photos from Operation Red Star and spot Red Star holding the crucial note. Just then, Martin receives an urgent alert: a hit team is closing in on their location. In a frantic race against time, he hastily prints out all the information related to the operation. As the hit team approaches, Martin pressures the analyst to disclose an escape route. Trevor and his team arrive at the room, calling out to Martin, who cunningly reveals that he has taken a hostage. Trevor attempts to negotiate for Martin's surrender, but as he moves closer, he realizes that Martin has already slipped away through a hidden exit. The hit team tries to intercept him on the floor below but finds no trace of him. Unbeknownst to them, Martin has not left the room. Instead, he ambushes an agent attempting to apprehend him. A fierce struggle ensues as he battles another agent who manages to throw him off balance with powerful blows. Yet Martin stands firm, returning fire with precision. As the conflict escalates, Trevor and his team attempt to corner him, but in a desperate maneuver, Martin pushes himself and one of the agents through a window. Emerging from the fray, bruised but determined, Martin escapes the scene with Sasha by his side, ready to confront whatever lies ahead. After a tense 10 hours, Tatiana's boss expresses his dissatisfaction and instructs her to intensify the pressure on Martin and Sasha. The two find refuge in an abandoned building, where Sasha observes that Martin is unlike any reporter she has encountered before. In response, Martin modestly attributes his skills to being proficient at his job. However, as he receives a photo of Lisa, he is reminded that time is slipping away. Just as he grapples with the cryptic information he extracted from the CIA system, Trevor and his hit team reappear, demanding his surrender as they close in on him. Martin decides to reveal himself, but to his shock, Sasha has him at gunpoint. She divulges to Trevor that she knows about the bank but deceitfully claims that Martin has the access code memorized. She insists the agents lower their weapons or face the dire consequences of her pulling the trigger. When her threat fails to yield results, Sasha makes a desperate move, turning the gun on herself, declaring that only she knows the bank's location. Trevor, unwilling to take any risks, lowers his weapon, granting them a chance to escape. As they leave, Sasha remarks on the apparent familiarity between Martin and Trevor, demanding clarification, but Martin urges her to place her trust in him instead. Back in his office, Trevor uncovers the nature of Martin's investigation and discovers a note containing what the agency had always assumed was a phone number. He now realizes it is actually the code to the vault. Meanwhile, Martin and Sasha abandon their car. He requests her credit card, knowing that Trevor possesses the vault code and plans to set a trap. In a bold move, Martin steals the passport of a woman who bears a striking resemblance to Sasha. Trevor soon receives intel indicating that they have booked a flight to Moscow, but he suspects this is merely a diversion and instructs his analyst to retrieve camera footage from every airport in London. Amidst this unfolding drama, we see Lisa and Tatiana spending time together at a spa. When Lisa notices Tatiana's bracelet and inquires about it, Tatiana remains tight-lipped. At the airport, Sasha attempts to conceal her tattoos. Martin reaches out to Tatiana, pleading for more time to deliver the files, but she warns him against underestimating her resolve. After a brief conversation with Martin,
How you doing?
Dad? Okay, I guess. When will you come?
That's enough.
Lisa angrily chastises Tatiana, asserting that only a woman without children could act so callously. In a moment of vulnerability, Tatiana reveals to Lisa that Martin is actually a spy who deceived Olga into believing he loved her, dismissing Lisa as an accident. This revelation shatters Lisa, leaving her in tears. Meanwhile, Trevor obtains surveillance footage confirming that Martin and Sasha are en route to Kyiv, prompting him to contact Colonel Zelenko to keep an eye on them. As Martin and Sasha land in Kyiv, they remain unaware that they are already being monitored and followed. As they arrive at Sasha's childhood home, Martin senses a looming threat: they are being followed. In a moment of nostalgia, Sasha confides that Martin reminds her of her father, to which Martin responds that her father was a good man. Curiosity piqued, she questions why he left Kyiv 12 years ago. Martin, revealing his own pain, admits that he too lost someone dear. Sasha attempts to comfort him, but his mind drifts to Olga's voice echoing a stern reminder: never get personal during a mission. Meanwhile, Lisa presses Tatiana for details about her mother. Initially resistant, Tatiana eventually discloses that Martin had tried to save her mother, but in a tragic twist of fate, Olga was accidentally killed, subtly implicating Martin in her death. Hours later, Tatiana arrives in Kyiv and attempts to reach Martin. He sees her call but chooses to let it go to voicemail, prioritizing the mission at hand. As Martin and Sasha approach the bank, the sense of being pursued hangs heavily over them. Nevertheless, Sasha is resolute about executing their plan. Inside the bank, while Martin waits in the lobby, Sasha is escorted to the vault. She calls him with instructions when suddenly Trevor, Colonel Zelenko, and his agents storm in, demanding access to the vault. Seizing the moment, Martin slips away and neutralizes a lone security guard, triggering the alarms in the process. Yet Trevor remains undeterred in his pursuit of the vault. When Trevor enters with the bank clerk, Martin confronts him with a gun, revealing that this confrontation was part of his strategy. He orders Trevor to input the vault code. Once inside, they discover deposit boxes containing samples of Novichok. In a desperate maneuver, Martin uses Trevor as a shield to navigate past the agents outside. Trevor insinuates to Sasha that Martin had a hand in her father's demise, but before he can elaborate, Martin knocks him out. With urgency, Martin and Sasha make their way to the rooftop, pursued by agents intent on capturing them. They narrowly escape to the street just as gunfire erupts. One bullet strikes Martin. Despite his injury, they manage to reach their car and evade the police pursuing them. Taking refuge under a bridge, Sasha feigns concern for Martin's wound but then surprises him by drawing his gun, declaring him one of the villains in this story. In a moment of vulnerability, Martin confesses that Russian operatives have taken his daughter hostage and that he needs the files to secure her safety. Sasha remains skeptical of his claims. In a tense standoff, he attempts to disarm her, but she shoots him in the arm and drives off, leaving him to succumb to unconsciousness. In his delirium, Martin experiences another vision of Olga, who urges him to save their daughter. Upon awakening, he receives a call from Tatiana, who demands to know where he is. He cryptically replies that he is both the files and Sasha, signifying the weight of their intertwined fates. Martin speaks with Lisa, who anxiously wonders when he will come to get her. All he can offer in response is a heartfelt declaration of love, a statement that only deepens Lisa's concern. Just then, Tatiana seizes the phone, instructing Martin to meet her at 10 p.m. for the exchange. After hanging up, Martin takes a moment to collect his thoughts before reaching out to Trevor for help, explaining the dire situation. The Russians will kill Lisa if they don't get the case. Trevor quickly realizes that Sasha has betrayed him and savors the irony of Martin now seeking his assistance. In a moment of clarity, Martin remembers that Sasha is driving a rental car, likely equipped with a tracking device. He leaves Trevor on the line and rushes to the car rental office, where he discovers that the vehicle is parked at a nearby train station. Racing against time, Martin arrives at the station just in time to spot Sasha. She attempts to flee, but after a brief struggle, she stumbles, allowing him to catch up and incapacitate her. He quickly steals a car and brings her back to his place.
In our mission. I love you so much, Marty.
That night, Martin prepares to meet Tatiana. He sends her a link to a live stream featuring a bound Sasha alongside the case, promising to send the address once he confirms Lisa's safety. Tatiana agrees, but not before giving Lisa a bracelet that once belonged to her daughter, a gesture laden with meaning. When Lisa finally reunites with Martin, he shares Sasha's location with Tatiana, who dispatches her men to retrieve her while leaving two agents behind as they wait. Suddenly, Martin signals, and chaos erupts when Sasha opens fire, wounding one of the agents. Seizing the moment, Martin grabs Lisa and makes a run for safety, firing back at Tatiana and her remaining agent. In the ensuing gunfight, Sasha runs out of ammunition just as Martin confronts Tatiana's agent, ultimately killing him. But before he can catch his breath, Tatiana steps out, holding Sasha at gunpoint. In a moment of desperation, Sasha urges Martin to forget her and publish the files, but he cannot bring himself to abandon her. He turns to Lisa, instructing her to stay put no matter what happens as he steps forward with the case in hand. Just as he tosses it aside and draws his weapon, a haunting flashback from 12 years ago freezes him in place, and Tatiana shoots him. Lisa rushes to his side, tears streaming down her face. Tatiana then forces Sasha to kneel, poised to execute her when a gunshot rings out. Tatiana collapses, shot by none other than Lisa. In the chaos that follows, Trevor and MI6 agents surround Sasha, demanding her surrender. In a desperate bid for freedom, she leaps off the bridge under a hail of gunfire and vanishes. Days later, Lisa arrives by bus at a Ukrainian prison where Martin is recovering from his injuries. He inquires about her foster family and learns they have treated her well. She even managed to buy a laptop and TV for them with money earned from helping Tatiana place bets. Pride swells in Martin as they embrace, but their reunion is bittersweet. Lisa reveals she has uncovered the truth about her mother's death, and Martin apologizes for not wanting her to harbor hatred toward him. As Trevor exits his hotel one day, he unexpectedly encounters Lisa. She hands him a copy of the files and warns him that if anything happens to her or Martin, the originals will be published. With urgency in her voice, she implores him to find a way to secure Martin's release before departing. Later, Lisa receives a letter from Sasha that reveals the identity of the double agent responsible for her mother's death. The letter concludes with a stark reminder: in a world filled with wolves, one must learn to become one themselves. Thank you for watching. If you are new, don't forget to subscribe for more recaps. Until next time, have a nice day.